Hi, everybody. Tom Tiberi here, joined by Adam King, and it is just what happens. Ohio State is the top team in college football. They are the king of the hills, and when this happens, teams come and poach your coaches. It happens all around the country this time every year. Ohio State is now down 3 coaches. They lost defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Penn State, that deal makes more sense as you hear him. I mean, apparently he grew up a Penn State fan. I didn't know that. And, they gave him a sweetheart deal. Justin Fry is reportedly going to be the line coach with the Arizona Cardinals. And the latest is Chip Kelly is going to Arizona, the Raiders, as offensive coordinator.
The Raiders.
Here is why. You look at the college football world, the professionalism of college football, and you look at the NFL, which is the top league in the United States. Chip Kelly tripled his salary.
Which is wild. He's now the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. So, I mean, at that point, yeah, I'm with you, Don.
He's getting $6
It's hard to say no.
He's getting $6 million. He's going to have a life because the NFL, they have the players union, and there's only so many days they can practice or be together a year. And, the college world is this, and they're going to have to figure this out because you think about Ryan Day. Ever since the celebration, ever since winning the national title, he has not had a day off. No. He's been all over the country.
Tour.
He did obviously the talk shows. I mean, that's smart. You keep the program out there. You're getting the name out there. But he's all over the country recruiting. And, now he's got to replace 3 coaches. He's got to do NIL stuff. He's got to worry about the transfer portal. In the NFL, you know what you do as a coach?
You coach.
You coach, and that's it.
Yeah. It's interesting because, and I'll start with Chip here. Chip was the most, I don't know what the word is, most NFL coach I've ever seen in college. He was very, very straightforward with everything he did. Great guy.
Well, he coached 2 NFL teams.
Yes, and you could tell that, the whereabouts of college football and the extras of college football, he wasn't really about it. He was here to call plays, run a great offense, have a good time with his best friend, and simply put, win a national title. And when they walked off the stage in Atlanta, the first question, and I said this yesterday, that everyone kept asking me, is Chip coming back? Is Chip coming back? And in your head, you say 2 years is typically what you get with a coordinator.
We had a 3-year contract.
Yeah, but you think if you can get 2 years, you'd be happy. I'm sure that's what Ryan thought. But it's really hard to walk back in that locker room and say, we reached the mountaintop. Chip, come back. Let's do it again. You want me to start all over and do this again with a new quarterback, with a young team, with new running back? I mean, you're asking a lot. And then I think about this, Dom. If you called me tomorrow and you said, listen, ESPN's called, Fox Sports has called, CBS Sports has called, they've offered me $6 million, I would say, Dom, well, I don't want you to leave.
How do you not take it?
Take the $6 million. I mean, it's where you are. He's the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. At that point, you can't turn that down. He's always wanted to get back to the NFL. He's an NFL mind. And with that, I think he'll be happy. Jim Knowles, as you said, going home to Philly.
But there's so much more to the college game now that never used to be. And I think that is going to make the NFL even more attractive. Chip, if you'll remember, folks, he was trying to get to the NFL a year ago. He got tired, I think, of all the, the banquets and the NIL and the transfer. And
the recruiting and the shaking hands.
He was the head coach of UCLA. That's a big-time program, but he was making good money.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to coach football. He wanted to call plays. And he was trying to go to the NFL at that point. And if you'll remember, they had hired, Ryan had hired O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
Hey, the only undefeated offensive coordinator in Ohio State history. Yeah. Just remember that.
So Bill O'Brien was going to be the offensive coordinator. Then all of a sudden, Jeff Hafley had enough of Boston College, and he went to the NFL.
Jeff Hafley had enough of college.
Yeah.
That's why he went pro.
It was at Boston College.
Yeah, but he was tired of the NIL and everything
all
as well.
that, and he went to the NFL. And so then the opportunity came for Chip. Chip was trying to get to the NFL. That did not work out. He came here, but then he wins the national title. I don't know how hot he was after the Michigan loss, but then he coaches Ohio State in the 4 greatest games in the history of college football.
It's true.
And just lit them up.
Averaged 36 points a game.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask.
And so, you knew that was going to happen. And you wondered if he was going to stay because, he's Ryan Day's mentor. They're very close. Some people say it's like a father-son. I say more like an uncle, whatever.
I just think they're best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Straight up. I mean, that's.
He played, Ryan played for him in college. But the bottom line is this. These coaches are going to make hard decisions. I think that's the reason why Urban Meyer will never coach again because he doesn't
want to deal with
I
that.
think that's why Nick Saban got out. Nick could have kept coaching.
Okay.
And I think that, Jeff Hafley,
Yeah.
I just think until they figure this out, because I remember when Coach Cooper was here and even Jim Tressel was here, the kids weren't here in the summer.
No.
You get them, they'd get jobs and they'd go and they'd have, now it's become 365 days a year. So if you're the position coach, you got to babysit those guys year round. You got to make sure that no one's coming after them. You got to make sure that A, they're getting their grades done, but B, they're happy. They don't want to go in the portal because it's like Woody Hayes used to say, he would get mad at his assistant coaches if you're a running back and you're not happy and you're leaving. Well, Woody'd get mad at the assistant because he'd say, that guy's your meal ticket. Well, that's even more true today.
100%.
And there's just so much that goes into it, and I don't know where it ends because there's really no off time.
Well, and it's funny you say that because so often after the season and what is the off season from January to August, you talk to these coaches and you say, hey, did you get a break last week? Did you get anything? The only time they ever get like a vacation, a moment, is July. July, they get a second to breathe. And then, and the crazy part about that is that's right before the ramp up of the season. So, of course, in the back of your head, that's all they're thinking about. It is the wear and tear of college football. It is unlike any other sport. And it's
getting worse. We just experienced it. I'm not playing. He's not playing. But we went over a month longer than we normally do. We're normally done on January 1st.
I felt the basketball season. I blinked and we're into February.
I'm still tired.
Yeah. So I think about this. When they walked off the field in the Cotton Bowl against Missouri, that was December 28th. When they walked off the field in Atlanta, or the celebration even in the shoot, that was like the 27th or the 26th. That's an actual month that the coaches lost of their year. That now they have to build in every year.
And they shut down normally there.
Yes, they shut down, they recoup, that's rest days. Now spring ball, Dom, the National Signing Day is Wednesday, so that's what, guys are out recruiting, although Ohio State did a lot of that in the early
I don't think they're going to have anybody else.
But still, they have obligations there, and then it's spring ball.
But the recruiting continues because they are behind the 8 ball because they missed the first transfer portal because they were still coaching. They're in season, and there's only so much you can do, but they still need to reload at some positions.
And the thing that I would be exhausted with is re-recruiting your own players.
Yes.
And that's, what stinks is you look at someone like Justin Fry, and Justin Fry got a lot of disrespect this past year at Ohio State. People saying they didn't want him to stick around. They didn't, thought he was a bad recruiter. And I
think he did a heck of a job coaching.
He was a phenomenal coach, and it was great to see him get the spotlight he deserved. Ryan stepped up there in the celebration in the shoe and said, one of the best coaching jobs in America was the way that he reworked that line week in and week out and had them ready for the playoffs. And listen, everybody wanted to criticize his recruiting. Guess what he doesn't have to do in the NFL?
You don't recruit.
You don't recruit. He gets to show up in Arizona, and he simply gets to coach. He gets to coach one of his guys in Paris Johnson Jr., and that's all he has to do, and everybody else will handle the ins and outs of who he's coaching. But, I get it. At some point, you look around.
Well, he's got a young family.
Yeah.
He's got kids, and I just don't know where this is going to end. I've said it on record. I don't particularly like some of the things that are happening. They've got to get this figured out. But, I think you're going to lose a lot of good college coaches that are going to get overwhelmed.
Well,
because, think about how many NIL events Ryan Day does
it's
a
unreal.
year now.
It starts the second the season is over. And I think about Ryan in that regard is that nothing is more of a wake-up call than what has been the last, 13 days ago, or whatever it is now, 14 days ago, he walked off the field in Atlanta celebrating a national title. And there's a relief that comes with that. And now here we sit, we got the backdrop back. I mean, the offseason's here. We're going to be talking about, for the next 2 weeks, who is the defensive guy? Is it Randy Bates? Who's the offensive guy? Is it Brian Hartline? Do they give him the play-calling role here? There is just genuinely no time off, and then before you know it, they'll take the field for the combine is in 2 weeks, and then spring ball's here, and then it's
and they can't do spring ball
the same way. The players are exhausted.
They can't. I mean, I know how tired I am, and I didn't play a game.
You didn't
I know
play?
how tired you are. I mean, you're walking around with bloodshot eyes. We were worn out.
And now I bought eye drops for the first time.
I mean, it was like the longest. I mean, we started this all started the third week of August.
Third week of August. Not even the first week. Remember they had fans in at camp. The first August, whatever, 4th was the first day, and it's going to. So I don't know. They're going to have to figure something out, and it'll be interesting what comes out. But I saw some people like Chip Kelly. Why? It was a no-brainer. Yeah, it's not. You can't put that on Chip Kelly.
And as far as who's going to replace him, Smart Money thinks it's going to be Brian Hartline.
Yeah, who is the offensive coordinator right now?
Yeah, he's a co-offensive coordinator or whatever. But he'll be the play-calling guy. But let me just say this, folks. Don't think Ryan Day's not going to have his fingers in it. I mean, he's. But this might be the best time to give. Because if you don't give Hartline a shot, someone's going to come get him because he is a hot coach.
And he is the I don't know what the word is. He's the quintessential part of that offense. If you can keep the wide receivers and you can keep the recruiting and the development that Hartline brings, not just to the wide receiver room, but to all those guys, that is the key piece. I will say, I have 2 guys that are under the radar. If they're looking elsewhere for a I look at Kevin Sumlin. He's over at Maryland as a co-offense coordinator, coached in the SEC as a head coach. And then the one name that popped out to me last night, Skip Holtz, Lou Holtz's son.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Defensive-wise, we've heard that they got a couple guys on staff they might look at. They could go outside. I've heard Jeff Hafley names mentioned.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
But you go back to the problem that he doesn't want to deal with the drama of college football.
But, he was outstanding.
He was great.
Here.
They had 1 year, and it was remarkable.
I mean, but, who knows what his security's like in Green Bay. I mean, it's like, they didn't exactly, the NFL, and a lot of times, the NFL stands for not for long for coaches sometimes.
That's accurate.
All right. He is Adam King. I'm Dom Tiberi. Keep it on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye football coverage needs.